Dr. Liz Stafford, and this is Primary Music in Conversation. This episode of Primary Music in Conversation is proudly sponsored by Opera Anywhere. Opera Anywhere provides workshops for school children by professional performers who are passionate about sharing their love of music and theatre. They believe that it's incredibly important that young people from all backgrounds should have access to music and drama. To learn more and access exclusive resources for primary music teachers, visit operaanywhere.com/opera-outreach. My guest for this episode is Emma Cottam from Lea Community Primary School in Lancashire. Emma's school has just recently become a lead school for the Lancashire Music Hub, and so we'll be talking about that and also all of the other stuff that her school is doing with music. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hi Emma, and welcome to Primary Music in Conversation. Please could you introduce yourself for our listeners?
Yes, my name is Emma Cottam. I am the music lead and assistant head here at Lea Community Primary School.
Oh, this is news to me. I did not know you were also assistant head. That's very exciting. We might
Yeah,
go on a
many
tangent
hats.
about SLT. What kind of size is your school?
So we're currently in a bit of a transitional period at our school. So we are one form entry, moving to two form entry. So currently we have two year five classes, two year one classes, and two reception classes, and moving towards two form entry.
Okay, brilliant. And what kind of area are you in? Are you rural or urban or?
So we are in Preston, city centre, and we have quite a deprived area. But we have lots of green spaces as well, and lots of natural resources at our school too.
Oh, lovely. So tell me about music. Shall we start with the curriculum? What's going on curriculum wise?
Yeah, so I started as music lead about 8 years ago, 9 years ago here. And the vision for music was just for the children to see themselves as musicians, to believe that they could become musicians if that's what they wanted to do, that everyone can achieve in music. It doesn't matter whether you're good at English, you're good at maths, whether they see themselves as intelligent or bright, that everyone can access music. We want them to really express themselves, have their imagination sort of come wild and make sure that they express themselves musically. So over the years, we've really developed a love of music with both the staff and the children here at Lea. And we want children to know that, whatever barriers they face, that they can always rely on music to make them feel better, whether it's just listening to it or expressing themselves, really.
Oh, that's a lovely kind of starting point to come from. Often people go straight in with sort of, oh, these are the skills that we learn and stuff. But it's, it's nice that you've got that bigger kind of holistic picture, because from the majority of children, they won't go on to use their musical skills in daily life, will they? But that well-being aspect and the connecting you with your emotional aspect will stay with them for the whole of the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. And we just want them to be able to, develop the skills that if they did want to carry on, at GCSE or even A level, that they'd have the skills starting at primary to sort of set them in good stead with the peers, because a lot of them don't have external music tuition or learn to read music. So we started to build a curriculum that sort of enhances that. So each of our lessons here start with a musicality warm up. From reception right through to year six, we make sure they're learning the basics of staff notation from year one, even just clapping different rhythms. And then by year six, they leave able to read music and compose their own music using staff notation as well.
Wow. And is that being taught by class teachers or is it being taught by
Yeah,
specialists
so
or?
originally it was taught by me across school. And then as we've obviously got bigger, that became harder to do whilst because I am class-based as well. So there's been a lot of CPD in training, and we've got a core group, sort of a teacher in each phase, if you will. So lower key stage two, upper key stage two, and key stage one that's confident enough to deliver our music curriculum so that we can make sure the children are getting the best. I have an open door policy. If anyone says, I'm not really sure what we're doing with this, then we make sure that we spend the time that's needed to train staff up. But as I said before, it's been a real shift in staff love of music. I always go back to one member of staff when I started and said, I can't teach music. And then she led the Boomwhacker Club for a year. And it was just such a shift in mindset that actually we're expecting our children to say they can. Our staff need to lead by example with that as well.
And did you meet any resistance at all, or was everybody kind of up for?
I think everyone wanted to do what's best for the children. So they may have been a bit scared of music at first, but they didn't want they weren't scared of it as in they didn't want to do it, they just didn't know where to do. But because we were putting the professional development time into it, it it was quite an easy transition really, because people came to watch me teach, people came to watch other teachers teach. We planned lessons together and took the sort of fear away from teaching music. And the head here is very supportive of music. She was really on board with the vision from day one. So the time and energy has been put into staff PD to make sure it's has been as successful as it has, really.
And where are you coming from? Like, would you say you're a classroom teacher with an interest in music? Are you a music teacher who's ended up in the
Um,
classroom? How?
So I have always had a love of music from when I was in primary school. I did A-level music at school and at college, and then I did my degree is in primary teaching with music. So it was sort of half music degree, half a primary teaching degree. So I've always classed myself as sort of a music specialist within that, and that was always the vision to sort of bring that to my first job. And then I never left. I'm still here.
That's a really interesting course. Whereabouts did you do that?
At Liverpool Hope University.
Oh, okay,
So you
fantastic.
chose it's a 4-year course and you chose a specialism within that.
Oh, that's because so many people, I think, just come out having just been taught how to teach English and maths
Yeah,
and science, and then everything else is like, oh, you'll work it out as you go along. So it's really
yeah,
encouraging to hear that you had that level of input at ITE level. That's really
yeah,
great. Um, okay, so you're the specialist in the school,
yeah,
but you've now kind of stepped back from the curriculum. So
yeah.
how much music are you personally teaching now?
So I teach music to lower key stage 2, so both year 3 and 4 at the moment.
Okay, fantastic. And then do you think you'd be able to continue doing that as you end up with 2 year 3s and 2 year 4s, or
Yeah, we did
yeah?
it last year. I taught year 3 and 4 last year with 2 year 4s, so hopefully that carry on. I just tend to say you can teach my PE and I'll teach your music. That's usually how I get around it.
Oh, good swap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my preference too.
Yeah.
But only because if I asked somebody to teach my maths, I would get told no. Yeah, PE is actually interesting. It's one of the other subjects that teachers report feeling really underconfident in, actually, alongside
Yeah.
music.
And the
And
way,
weirdly, sorry, what I was going to say,
I was just gonna
weirdly,
say,
RE as well.
yeah. I think it just works that the people in our school, the staff in our school who are most confident delivering PE are the least confident delivering music. So it just works out quite well as a swap, to be fair.
I guess those are the two most kind of practical subjects, aren't they? And
Yeah.
pretty much everything else you can muddle through, because it's all
Yeah.
the rest of it's kind of literacy, either literacy or numeracy based, isn't it? So
Yeah.
you can apply stuff across. But yeah, RE is the head scratcher one for me, because I'm like, well, surely that is just like teaching history or geography. But a lot of teachers I've spoken to have said that, if something's going to fall off the timetable, I always assumed it would be music, but a lot of teachers have said to me, oh no, it's RE, and then it's music. Like the one that I get rid of on a regular basis is the RE, which I just, yeah, I'll have to go and talk to some RE specialists to find out, what might be causing that. But certainly with music and PE, I think it's that practical aspect, isn't it? And also the thing, I think you grow up with a thing like you're musical or you're sporty,
Yeah.
or maybe you're both. And I
Yeah.
think if teachers haven't come up identifying as a sporty person or a musical person, that's a real barrier for them
It
sometimes in
can be.
teaching.
Yeah. That was me and my brother. I was musical and he was sporty. Yeah.
So, but you've obviously put lots of effort into the professional development side of it
Yeah.
to I nearly said make the teachers. I didn't mean that. To like support the teachers
Yeah.
to feel more comfortable to teach music and feel more skilled. And you feel like you're in a place now where everybody is kind of happy with what they're doing.
Yeah, I think so. And I think because the children love it so much, they're the first one to say, when are we doing music? And if teachers did try and sort of let it slip off the timetable, the children would definitely make it known now that, are we doing music today? Or, it's such a culture around school. But yeah, I think it's one that people enjoy teaching. There's no marking afterwards, which is always a benefit. And it just allows the children to be, like I said, truly themselves and express themselves in whatever way and feel successful as well. So, yeah, it's quite a positive experience, I would say.
So are you using a particular scheme or have you written your own curriculum?
Yeah, so it's sort of based around Kapow primary. So most of the lessons are Kapow, but we have adapted it a little bit, as I mentioned before. The musicianship starters, I've sort of compiled each classes together so that they can start with that, because that's not something that's included on Kapow. And then we also in Key Stage 2 do whole class tuition for ukulele. So I wrote the scheme for that, and then, as I said, teachers will deliver that for year 3 through to year 6 for the whole of the summer term. So we move away from Kapow there. So we use sort of 4 units from Kapow and then 2 ukulele for the whole of Key Stage 2. So by the time they leave us in year 6, they're quite proficient on the ukulele. They've had it for 4 years. Some of them decide to, buy themselves a ukulele. Quite a lot of Christmas presents like this half term, where I got a ukulele for Christmas. Please, can you tune it for me? Because it sounds awful. Um, so yeah, it's quite a nice little end to the year. Um, it sort of involves all the musicianship skills they've learnt previously, and then it all comes together for that whole class ukulele tuition, which is quite nice. And then in Key Stage 1, year 2 do a whole term on the glockenspiel, and year 1 do a whole term on the boom whackers as well, just to have that experience of that whole class tuition and
Mm.
working together as a team.
And do you find there are any issues with the progress, like switching between, your kapow and then your more instrumental stuff, or have you built it all into the it
So
all?
I've built it all in, so whatever sort of skills and knowledge are missing from the Kapow units that we obviously don't have time to do, we build it in either to our musicianship starters or it's built into the ukulele one as well. So obviously with the ukulele, there's not much room for staff notation, so we really focus on that in the other 4 units we do. But then some of them are quite singing based, and we have a half-hour singing session every Friday. So I'll make sure I cover the skills for those in our singing time rather than in our music lessons.
And is that the whole school together singing?
Key stage 1 and then key stage 2 separately. So Friday afternoon, loveliness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's more manageable as well, isn't it, when you split them up
Yeah.
because then you can kind of tailor the repertoire
Yeah,
and
and
the
it wouldn't be
technical.
appropriate for reception children to be sat with year 6 children when we're trying to cover some of the singing objectives or the national curriculum ultimately. It's not the same for Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2, so it just makes more sense to split them. And then they
Yeah.
sing it all, obviously, all together in assembly. They'll sing what we've been working on as a whole
And then
school.
do you have other extracurricular stuff going on as well?
Yeah, so we always have Key Stage 1 choir and Key Stage 2 choir running as a bit of a constant. They're very popular, so I can't really put them on a rolling program. But then we do have a rolling program for Boom Whacker Club for Key Stage 1. So sort of spring term, we'll offer Boom Whacker Club to our year 1 reception year 1 and year 2 pupils. So they come and they will play Boom Whacker together, use the skills they learn in year 1, but also have a go at just trying to play in time. And then in Key Stage 2, we have samba and ukulele sort of on a rolling program. So we have a whole class set of samba drums. So we can have up to 35 children in samba club, all working together again, exploring those different rhythms, or it's ukulele club, and they'll practice sort of the things they've been doing in their ukulele lessons, but also just for fun. And there's a lot of Taylor Swift, there's a lot of Imagine Dragons and things like that. Songs that they want to sing, and they'll sing and play, and they'll have just a bit more fun doing it. So whatever clubs we have, we then put a performing arts assembly on at the end of the term so they can showcase what they've been working on to parents and the community and obviously the rest of the school as well. So it's really purposeful. They've got something to work for, and just showcase what they've been doing in their spare time as well. So yeah.
And those clubs, are they happening after school or lunchtimes or?
Some of them are lunchtime. So Boomwhacker Club is at lunchtime because more than 25 minutes of Boomwhackers is probably just a bit too much for anybody, especially with reception children. Similarly with Samba, at one point we did Samba before school. So they came in, had their breakfast, and then did some drumming. It set them up really nicely for the day. And then Ukulele Club will either be at lunchtime after school, and similarly with Key Stage 1 choir, lunchtime or after school, and Key Stage 2 choir as well.
Yeah. And do you find that the different times of day attract different children or have any impact on numbers?
No, they're always quite popular to be fair. So ukulele, I say I limit it at 15, and it's always full. There's always a waiting list for that. Um, But yeah, it depends on what other clubs are on during the day. So sometimes, for example, Key Stage 2 choir, there's such an array of clubs, sports clubs and 3D printing club, lots of different clubs that the children want to access after school. So we do it at lunchtime so that they don't have, it goes back to our conversation before, they don't have to choose whether they want to be in choir or on the football team. They can do both. So that one works quite nicely as a Thursday lunchtime club.
3D printing club sounds
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't choose choir. I would choose 3D printing club.
Yeah, me too. Wow. That I mean blows my mind when I think about when I was at primary school. Like, it just obviously that technology didn't exist, and
Nope.
like, yeah, you just. I mean, I suppose the only equivalent we had was when they like wheeled the telly in, the one telly that the school had, like into your classroom for you to watch, whatever video they happen to have available for you. Yeah, wow. Children have so much more exciting things to do and so much more choice, but
Yeah.
it's nice that things like choir and ukulele club,
Yeah.
old school acoustic tactile things are still appealing to children even in
Yeah.
this age of massive amounts of technology.
Absolutely. And, as I said, they're all very well attended. So it's nice. Again, it just reconfirms that impact of music throughout school it's part of our culture here, and children really do enjoy music for what it is, and just having that time to just relax really and be themselves and
Mm.
switch off the worries for a little bit and just immerse themselves into music. And that's what I used to do, and I feel like that's what the children here are doing too.
So you mentioned that you like you do your little performances and stuff for parents at
Yeah.
the end of the term. Do you get out as well? Do you ever get into the community to do musical
Yeah,
stuff?
so we always tend to go around Christmas, so we've got a community gateway near us where they have like the residents there. We go and sing for them around Christmas time. We've taken part the last few years in the last choir singing competition to make sure there's a real purpose for that. Within our classroom music as well, some children last year went and showcased their ukulele playing to the residents at Community Gateway too. So wherever possible, we just try and get out and give it a real purpose, and give the children that, sometimes we've got a stage here at school and it's quite nice for them to perform on our stage in performing arts assembly, or in their class assemblies, but sometimes it's a little bit different on a bigger stage or somewhere unfamiliar. So we try and give them the opportunity to go and, sing elsewhere. We're going in a few weeks to Young Voices at the Co-op Arena in Manchester. So that's always an exciting one where they see how many children there are. They like to say, I came here to watch Westlife, or Ariana Grande or wherever, whatever they've been to see, and I've performed there too now. So that's quite a nice little confidence builder for them. So wherever possible, we do try and get out of our school as well, but just giving them the opportunity to perform really to a real life audience.
Mm. I'm already building up a sense of how you've ended up being one of the lead schools for Lancashire, but talk me through kind of what's happened so far. I know lead schools are only in their infancy, but what kind of stuff is going on with that
Yeah,
role?
so I'm a lead school for Lancashire, and we've been doing a lot of work trying to build up a sense of community. So I'm the lead school for at Lancashire Central, which is the Preston area. So we've had a cluster meeting in the autumn term where we discussed sort of curriculum, and we looked at the curriculum review coming in and how we can make sure we're ready for that. We looked at how we can ensure that our curriculum is being delivered to a high quality. And then the last part of the session was sort of asking the other schools what they wanted for music, and if they could tailor their own sort of CPD for music, what would it look like? A lot of them said that they wanted, just like they've got ECTs that haven't had any training in music in their ITE. They've got people who are a little bit afraid of music and they're not sure about the behavior, while they're a bit scared to get the glockenspiels out because all they hear is, a load of noise. So we're having a session in the next few weeks where I'm delivering an open lesson. So there's about 15 people so far coming. And we're going to talk about strategies to sort of manage the chaos within music and then sort of see it in action to help there. And then we're going to sort of move from there with what people want to see within the cluster. But it was just really nice to deliver that and see the sort of schools next door to each other saying, well, we have this, why don't you come and see this? And sort of sharing that good practice of music and having a room full of people who are passionate about music education and moving it forward was really nice as well. So I think the aim for me, what I want to get out of it for Central, is just to make people put music on the map because it deserves to be on the map, and giving people the tools to make sure, no teacher wants to not teach a lesson, no teacher wants to say, oh, I can't do that, but we have to give them the tools to be able to deliver it effectively.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. There's no substitute for actually going and watching someone else teach.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just need to be in the room to kind of, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Although
Seeing
it'll be
some real
interesting
life
to see.
children.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see though how your class cope, whether you get the same level of behaviour that you would normally do when
Yeah.
there's 15 other adults in the
Yeah,
room.
we'll just have to give them a wave first and say, right, pretend they're not there now.
Yeah, because in a way you want them to act up, don't you? Like ordinarily. Yeah. But if you're
Yeah.
trying to show about classroom management with music, then you
Yeah.
actually need a little bit of
Yeah.
interesting behaviour to make that,
Absolutely,
make that point
I'm
come
sure
across.
we'll get some.
As opposed to when Ofsted come and then you want
Yeah.
everyone to be just quiet
Yeah.
and golden and perfect the whole time.
Yeah.
Have you had Ofsted recently, out of interest?
We had Ofsted in March last year, actually. And we did have a deep dive into music, so that was an interesting experience. She was very much into music. She was very passionate about music. We had a lovely chat about music. It's a bit sad really, but it was quite an enjoyable experience because we were two people of a very similar mindset in terms of music. We were both, of the opinion that children deserve to have that level of music. They deserve to experience playing an instrument to an audience. They deserve to experience being able to sing to an audience. So it was quite a thorough process. She started by looking at our music development plan and asking how we'd done in terms of when that was published, obviously in the September, what we'd done so far to meet the targets on there and what the plan was going forward. She watched the year one teacher teach a music lesson. She watched me teach the year six lesson at the time, and saw the progress within it. But the biggest bit was the sort of pupil voice from the children. So the year one's music lesson was about pitch and pulse. So then she asked the year sixes how they had done with what they'd learned about pitch and pulse and how they could do it. And she started seeing the difference between the year one's knowledge and the year six's knowledge just meant that she had no further questions really, which was again down to those musicality starters that we have introduced, and they were very clear with that. One of the year one children, my favourite part was when the year one children said, we can also sing in a round. We've been learning to sing in a round. And she went, oh, have you? And they just performed for her. It's
Oh,
like
wow.
a three-way round going between these lovely year one children who were just singing to her and singing row, row, row your boat in a three-way round. And she was like, I've got no further questions.
Wow. I mean, it's nice when it goes like that, isn't it?
Yeah,
And it's sort of a shame that those kind of opportunities to showcase music are not going to happen now under
yeah,
the new framework. I mean, nobody wants the pressure of
absolutely.
having to prepare for a deep dive, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
it
you
was
want to
quite
feel
nice. I
like,
enjoyed it.
yeah, you want to feel like they're interested, and they might
Yeah,
actually come and think about music. It remains to be
yeah,
seen exactly how things will go under the new framework, but we'll find out in due course.
yeah,
Um, so you've mentioned the musicality starters
yeah,
a few times, and I think our listeners will be quite interested in that. So can you kind of describe that in more detail, exactly what sort of
yeah.
stuff
So,
is in those?
each class has sort of a PowerPoint presentation with basically the interrelated dimensions of music. So there's a PowerPoint on pulse, there's a PowerPoint on tempo, there's a PowerPoint on dynamics, and it's just full of little games and ideas, just quick sessions. So, for example, I'm teaching year 3 and 4 at the moment, so I'm just going to go to those ones. In year 4, there's a year 3, it's talking about pulse and rhythm at the same time. So, for example, someone taps their pulse while someone claps a rhythm over it. In year 3, we're currently learning about quavers and crotchets and minims. So, all of the rhythms are based on those staff notation, just to get them used to seeing it and to hearing it and to be able to clap it or play it. Whereas in year 4, it sort of levels up a little bit and they make ostinatos with the rhythms, create their own little group compositions or games like pass the rhythm round the room, with varying, obviously, degrees of staff notation depending on which year group they're in. In reception, it's as simple as can you they do a lot of finger painting to represent their rhythm. So they're doing at the moment about long notes and short notes. So they'll do a big long line for a long note and then a little dot for a short note. So they'll paint it and then they'll clap it. And then they've started doing that in their continuous provision as well, just having that open as a little music area within there. So just simple, really simple games. When we first started them, it was as simple as going onto YouTube and looking at some body percussion videos that there's thousands of on YouTube. So the teacher didn't necessarily have to lead the starter; they could just
Mhm.
play it and have that. There's lots of clap this one backs as well in rhythm on YouTube. So I've got a lot of those kind of games and activities on there. So it just keeps it fresh. So whatever learning they've done, it then goes into the musicality starter and just keeps it fresh, really. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes total
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. So you kind of drip feeding that all the way
Yeah.
through every single lesson, every single year group, so that by the time they leave you, they've got a real understanding
Yeah.
of all of those different elements, and all of that's been internalized. Do you have any links with the secondary schools that your students go on to? Do you know how well your curriculum is preparing them for what's happening in Key Stage 3 in other
So
places?
no, I have tried to sort of reach out, and in the past, it's not been on my priority list recently because everything just gets a bit manic. But we do have a lot of children come back and say to us, I'm still in choir and still doing this, and a lot of them are doing GCSE music, which is really nice to. If they've got younger siblings in school, the younger siblings will say, "My sister's doing her Lambda exam, and it's because you started it," or my brother's going to spend all his lunchtime learning guitar and he's doing his grade 4 guitar this year. So we can see the sort of progress from the families we're still in contact with.
Mhm.
But that is sort of our next step, really, is to sort of think about what's happening with the feeder high schools that they are going to and seeing how. I was talking to one of the other lead schools at our meeting, who's quite local to us. We do have a few students go to her school and seeing what we could do to sort of make sure that it's kept up and that they know what's going on in our curriculum, in the primary curriculum, and we know what they're going to next, and sort of make sure that journey stays quite fluid and make sure they have the best opportunity, really.
Yeah. I suppose the lead network might be a really great mechanism for kind of
Yeah,
creating those connections, mightn't it? And
I think
that
so,
would be really
yeah.
helpful. Yeah. Okay. So I wondered how with the so you said you were class based and you're
Yeah,
teaching music and you're
yeah,
also assistant head.
yeah,
So you're busy clearly. Do you
yeah.
think having that SLT role gives you an advantage in sort of the priority that people put on music in the school?
Um, I think maybe when people are coming in now, it does. But when I first joined as music lead, I joined Lea when I was a NQT at the time, ECT now, and I took over in my second year as music lead. But I've always been quite lucky that the head has had the similar vision with music that I have. She's been very passionate about it. We have a lot of instruments that have been bought through either PTFA funding or spare curriculum money. There's not been anything that I've said we need this, and the answer's been no. So I think it's always been quite a good priority because I've always had the support of whoever has been on SLT before I was on SLT. It's always been a sort of priority for school, and it's never been a battle. It's always been a let's get this to where it needs to be. And now we're in a good place, but there's still more. Obviously, there's always something we could be doing better or something we could be doing more for the children. So it does help, I guess, being on SLT because you've got more time to have that conversation and say, look, this is where we are in history, this is where we are in geography, this is where we are in music, and these are the next steps. Because my role as assistant head is curriculum lead, so obviously I may be a little bit biased towards music. But balancing it with the, other people's needs and other people's budget as well. But it's never been a barrier for me because whoever has been on SLT has always been on board. I've not
I
experienced
suppose I
yeah,
suppose if they've recruited you like right from the start and they know that you've got a specialism in music, I
yeah,
mean, they would have been silly not to exploit that
exactly.
immediately anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, it's always been this is what we need to do. This is what I'd like to do. Is it possible? And there's always been, there might have to be a few things juggled around to make it possible, but it's always been let's see how we can get that done and not have impact on other areas of school.
So, looking to the future,
Yeah.
what kind of stuff do you have planned? What more things would you like to do with music?
So our next step is sort of music technology. We don't have a lot of music technology within our curriculum at the minute. We've just used our capital grant to sort of fund a few bits for music technology. So we've got a few drumming machines, we've got a few audio recorders, some microphones, things like that. And we're currently upgrading our technology to make sure that we can offer that. So first things first is for it to all arrive. Then it's for me to understand how on earth we use it, because that is not my specialism. I'm more classical. And then I've been working with the computing lead as well, just to see how it crosses over into the computing curriculum, as well as the music curriculum, and offering a little bit more music text. I think again, looking with that lifelong journey of music, we want our children to experience that, and a lot of them really like the sound production side of things. And they're more skilled than we are, aren't they, mixing music together and making videos and things. So hopefully that is our next step, and we can offer the children that as well, and give them a purpose for their music. So they can record themselves singing, they can mix it together, they can play a little riff on the glockenspiel, but then sample it with different things and using different software. So that's our next step for the future, really, trying to get that off the ground.
Oh wow, and that really is the future, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's technology. Like not
Yeah.
only is it coming in the future, but also it is, kind of
Yeah,
ahead of the curve a little bit.
absolutely.
It'll be really interesting to see how that develops over time. And as you say, the kids are so far ahead of us with all that stuff
Yeah.
already that it'll
They
be
will be
interesting
teaching
to
the
see.
staff, I think.
Yeah, I should think so. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I've really enjoyed listening to you talk about music in your school. It's clearly working very well, hence the reason that you're a lead school for Lancashire. And good luck with that role and with everything that you want to do in the future. And just to say thank you very much for being on Primary Music in Conversation, Emma Cottam.
Thank you.
What a fascinating chat with Emma. I really like that idea of the musicality start as just something that you're doing consistently every single time you have a music lesson, so that over time you're just building up all that core understanding of that musical vocabulary, but also how you internalize that and kind of turn that into musical skill. I think that's such an interesting and such a clever idea, and it's no wonder that they became a lead school for their area of Lancashire. If you enjoyed that episode, you can subscribe, whether you're listening to us on a podcast app or whether you are watching us on YouTube. You can also join our mailing list. There are details in the podcast notes or underneath the video on YouTube as to how to do that. And we are also available on socials if you want to chat to us. We are at Music Ed Solution on pretty much all of them, other than Facebook, where we are Music Education Solutions, and we're also on LinkedIn under Music Education Solutions as well. We would love to hear from you. We'd like to thank Opera Anywhere for supporting this episode of Primary Music in Conversation. Opera Anywhere really do what they say. They take opera anywhere. If you're a music educator looking for a tailor-made programme for your students, visit operaanywhere.com to find out more. Primary Music in Conversation is presented by Dr. Liz Stafford, edited by Kay Charlton, and produced by Music Education Solutions.